Hello again, internet friends. I'm back again, Bobby with Madness Labs, in case we aren't acquainted. Um, in the last video, I said we would be jumping into Bootstrap and some frameworks and stuff like that. However, I realized that I hadn't really unveiled the concept of linking files together. We still only have one page in our application. We've linked the style sheet in, but that's a very basic example. So I figured it'd be good to just touch base very quickly on how to link files in and kind of how this whole structure works. So I'm just going to jump right in. So again, here's our page that we have thus far. Very simple. We just have some really simple formatting, text tags on here. And then we have a link to a style sheet. So let's explain this a little bit more. So if we look at our code, this line right here on line 8, we're linking in an external style sheet. So these styles aren't baked into our page. They're not actually inside of the page. They're being loaded from a style.css file. And so the way that we're loading it in is with this href tag. And this is pointing to where the file is. And this is called a relative link. So a relative link just means where is that file relative to where I currently reside. So right now, as you can see by this highlighting here, I'm inside of the index.html page. So if I wanted to pull in the style sheet from this style.css, I need to point directly to style.css because they reside in the same place. So if I were to, for instance, maybe make a folder and say put styles in a folder, and then I were to drag this up here, if we go back to the browser, we're going to notice that it's broken. Well, it's not broken maybe, but it's not styled. So we can see that because we've moved our style sheet, we no longer see the styles being applied because this file doesn't exist next to index.html. So in order to get this to work, you'd have to type in styles/ and then style.css. And now if we jump back over to the browser, we can see that it applied the styles again. So the reason for that, again, is because relative to the index page, this styles file, or the style sheet, resides inside of this styles folder now. And if I change the folder name, you'd see the same thing. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I don't think I need to keep beating this to death. So I'm going to put that back out into the main directory. Let's save that. And I'm going to actually rename this to images. So when I'm working in a project, I usually like to keep all of my image assets on the actual project. And we can use absolute URLs, which are the actual full URLs to an image, or to a style sheet, or to a JavaScript file, or what have you. But generally, you want to keep as many assets as you can stored within your project where you have control. Because if you hodgepodge together a website with links to 100 million other websites, then if any of those other servers go down, in turn, the content on your website goes down. And so you're kind of like relying on everyone else on the internet to make sure their stuff works so that yours works, which is generally okay. But again, try to minimize your risk. So in this case, I'm going to show you two different examples. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the desktop and go into my portfolio. And again, a thing to note here, so like what I'm seeing in VS Code, it's just a representation of an open folder on my computer. So that images folder is just a folder. It's just that, and it's stored on my desktop. So there's no magic here. There's no special thing just because I'm writing a program. It's just folders and they're just files. So there is no, cards up the sleeves. So first off, I'm just going to go to my desktop and I've got my picture here. So I'm going to drag that into my portfolio. And then I'm going to drag that picture into my images folder. And then now I can actually jump back over here and I can actually add my image onto the page. So maybe right below my title here, I want to put an image. So I'm going to type img and click tab to get my autocomplete working. And then I'm going to basically link to that image. So again, relatively to my index page, it is underneath a folder called images. So that's what I'm going to start typing first. So images. And then a / denotates that that is a folder, and I'm navigating into it. So now I'm inside of that folder. Now I want to access this file with a ridiculous file name. And so this is where another thing comes in. I like to rename my files just so that they're very easy to type and that they make common sense. And this is for a couple reasons. One, for your own sanity and for your own sake. And two, because search engines, when they look through all the images on your page, they actually will take into account what the name of the file is to try to figure out what it is. So if I put maybe me.png, it knows that this is a picture of me. Whether it knows the context of that, I don't know, but that's what I'm going to name it. So now I can type in images /me.png, and again, that's just the file extension. So now if we jump back over to the browser, we can see me. I'm in the browser. Oh my god. So there we go. There's my picture. Another way we can do it, again, is using an absolute URL. So we could actually jump out online, images.google.com, and maybe I want some puppies on my website because I love puppies. Who doesn't? Oh my god, look at that face. Okay, so now we click on this guy and we can copy the image address. So when I copy this image address, I then can go back over to my browser. I'm going to add another image tag. And then I'm going to paste it in. So note the difference here. This is relative to my current index file. It's going to browse into a folder that resides within the same area that my project is. But this one is actually linking out to an actual website online. So that's the difference between an absolute and a relative link. You can also have an absolute link that links directly to a file on your computer, like c:/ blah, 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 blah. But generally you don't want to use those because as soon as you upload your project or as soon as you hand it off to somebody else, then those image assets might not be in the same place. They might have a different folder name somewhere, and so they won't show up. So generally you're usually going between links that are provided online or relative links to things that are stored within your project and that are hosted inside of the repository. But in the same fashion, when I refresh here, I can see my adorable puppy picture that totally takes away the focus of me, so I've got to kill it. Not the puppy, the image. The image. Okay, so now I can just take this image out of here. Boom, boom. And again, you're going to want to store your assets on your actual project. You don't want to link to a bunch of external resources if you can avoid it. Some other ways that we can link to external resources are with style sheets. So a lot of times when you're working with third-party libraries like Bootstrap or any other thing like jQuery or something like that, you have to actually pull in their JavaScript or CSS files and link them in your document. So that can be a cause sometimes for using external links. And if we actually head over to Bootstrap's documentation, we can copy and paste theirs out. I guess we can get into this, getbootstrap.com. And so if I go to download Bootstrap here, first let's get this zoomed back out. You can see here that they make it really easy. I can just copy this lump of HTML, and I can paste this into the head of my document, and you can see it's using absolute URLs to link to a CDN or a content delivery network that will actually get these styles or JavaScripts and put them inside of our application so we can use them. And then we also can download them by clicking this download button, and we can throw them in a folder inside of our project and use them with relative URLs in the exact same way that we have here. So again, most of the time you want to use them when they're actually pulled into your project. It's a little bit cleaner, and you know that you're not relying on third-party resources, but that's the general practice. So realize that, again, you're going to be linking to different things via image tags or via style sheets or via script tags, or sometimes even to other pages. So let's go ahead and try that one out. So if this is a portfolio, I probably want a couple more pages other than the current one that I have. So I'm just going to duplicate this current index page so I don't have to rewrite all of my text and my HTML in my head and all that stuff. So I'm going to duplicate this guy, copy, paste, and I'm going to rename it. Rename. And I'm going to call this the projects page. Awesome. So now I've got a project page. I'm going to rename this from Popcorn's Portfolio to Popcorn's Projects. And I probably don't want my ugly mug on here. And I can take off all of the rest of the content. So we just have a bare bone, very simple page. So I can go and open this up in the browser if I wanted to. Oh my God, puppies. So I can go ahead and open this back up in the browser if I wanted to by typing in the actual name, projects.html. And I'll get very simply what we have before, or what I have put in here. Note that because I've linked to my style sheet, it's automatically getting the blue background and it's styling all the fonts. And again, this is where the beauty of CSS comes in, because we've written our styling, we've styled our website, and we have that stored in an external file, and then we're just including it in the head, so that way we have a general overall feel and a general style for our entire application, which is super powerful. So now I've got this page. How do I get from this page to my projects? So this is where another type of link comes in, or I guess the actual link tag comes in. So what we use is an A tag, or an anchor as they call it. And an anchor, again, this is what HTML was all based around. So HTML documents were just supposed to be documents. So they were documents that linked into each other. And so that's the whole concept of the web. That's how search engines work. That's how everything works, is it bouncing around on these links. So to make a link, you just do A, and then you can press tab. No. Okay, so I can press tab. And again, the autocomplete might mess up. It might try to throw some like word that you have on the page. You can always just very simply, if you type an A and it gives you some weird autocompletes, you can just like kind of forward and go back with your arrow keys to get out of that. And then once you're up against the A tag again, you press tab and it'll autocomplete for you. Or feel free to write it the old-fashioned way and do it all by hand. But now you'll have an A tag. And so this A tag has an href, much like our style.css has, much like our link tag that links to our style sheet and pulls that in. An A tag does the same thing, but allows you to link to another file or another page. So I can use this href, and I'm going to put projects.html, and then I might say view my projects. So now if we go back to the browser and we refresh, there should be a nice little link here that says view my projects, and I can click on that and it takes me to the projects page. Now I can go back, click it again. So very, very simple. And again, remember that the reason why I can get to that page using just projects.html is because relative to the index, they sit right next to each other. So it knows how to get to projects.html. And that's pretty much the general gist. So if I made a ton of different pages and I want to link them all together, I would just use these A tags. And again, use the W3C or W3 Schools documentation. Look through all these tags. I know that these videos have been very short and very concise, and they really don't show you a whole lot of like building an entire application. Because again, these videos are more about understanding the concepts. And then doing the research yourself to figure out why or what tags you need or why they work or why they don't work, and all those different kind of things. And I think as this series progresses, we'll get more and more in depth, and these things will start to evolve a little bit. But again, I don't want to scare anyone off with crazy amounts of code and really complex examples. I want to keep this bare bones simple and down to at least 10 minutes or down to 10 minutes if I can, so that we can unveil these concepts, understand them, and then all learn together. Awesome. Well, that's the general concept of linking files together. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. In the next the next video, or maybe set of videos, we're going to start diving into frameworks like Bootstrap and getting those linked into our project using these methods. All right. Well, as I end every video, well, I didn't end the last video, shame on me, like this, but I'm going to commit my changes. So add profile picture and add project page. Boom, commit, and we're legit. All right, guys, see you next video.